is VK3 EKH, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast. And just a sec. No, it's still there. Okay, where is that coming from? Hello, that's better. That's better, huh? Sorry, had a little bit of feedback there. Welcome. This is VK3 EKH. Good evening. VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, of the regular Friday night broadcast. Coming to you from the studios of VK3 Charlie Sierra Juliet, VK3 CSJ in good old Narre Warren South. Broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kilohertz in the 80 meter amateur radio band, and simulcasting on 1865. Let me know if there is there now. And simulcasting on 160, 1865. And broadcasting via the Melbourne Television TV repeater, VK3 RTV Digital Channel 2, now with sound. We're also but we're also streaming via the wonderful YouTube channel, VK3 CSJ. And something about Discord. And of course, for HD, for the HD version of tonight's broadcast, you can rely at this stage on the YouTube channel. We are transmitting standard definition via the repeater until I can get my HD transmitter back up and running. And heaven knows how long that'll be. Anyway, good evening everyone. And we have an email address, vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com. More than welcome to send reports tonight, and also via the Discord chat window. The Discord chat window can be found on the ASV website at www.asv.org.au under the Radio Astronomy tab, and look for the ASV broadcast, and the link to the Discord channel or chat room is there, so you are more than welcome to come up with your genuine name, or you can come up alias if you like. Okay, we've got a bit of a full menu tonight, but I'm not really sure how it's all going to play out. There's a few things here, and we'll see how we can rock and roll with it. Very pleasant good evening to new stations viewing for the first time, and I'll get into that in a second. There's something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, not important. Anyway, we're here, and I'm looking at everything here to make sure that it's all working fine. Oh, I can see my audio level on TV might be a bit down. I'll just have a quick look and see if I can up that while I can in real time here. Where's that thing? Oh, yeah, okay. So maybe I can up the frequency response a little bit. Usually I put a bit of high in it here and there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I might just do this 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and that's just up the gain there a little bit, back down a bit. 1 2 3, yeah, it's alright. Alright, so that's up the level on 1 2 on the TV sound side of things, because I'm still using the internal microphones in the camera here. Alright, okay. I'm tired. I've been outside doing gardening today, and I've had a reasonably good campfire running, and which is still simmering there. I can see through the window. Alright, 10:05 it is on the 11th of February. Isn't that amazing how quick that's all gone? The Astronomical Society of Victoria was founded in 1922. We have well over 1,600 members throughout Victoria and other states of Australia. Membership of the Society is open to anyone with an interest in astronomy. The Society's main aim is to encourage the study and practice of astronomy and to disseminate the knowledge of the science to provide greater facilities for the study among its members. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month, which was just last Wednesday, in fact. And meetings start at 8 p.m. at the Mullier Hall, National Herbarium, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is not too far from the Shrine of Remembrance. Parking is available in Burwood Avenue, Dallas Brooks Drive and surrounding streets. Admission is free and visitors, of course, are most welcome. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at the Melbourne Observatory. Receipt of the ASV's magazine Crux. That's something I was going to... Yeah, okay, that's downstairs. And containing articles, news, observing notes and the like. And the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly as well as after the monthly meeting, weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector and a 300mm portable reflector. The 200mm refractor, which is managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a recently restored photoheliograph are also housed at the observatory and are accessible to members as well. The Society also has a number of 200mm reflectors available for short period loan to members. It's kind of like a try before you buy scenario. Regular Society club night meetings are held on the first and last Fridays of each month at the Lodge, our club room over there in Burwood. Members are encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there to gain first-hand experience in telescope use. The instruments include a 508mm equatorial reflector and a number of smaller reflectors. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote, about 90-minute drive north of Melbourne, and there are a range of instruments available for members to use, and which range from a 300mm to a 1000mm in aperture. Also located on the site is an 8.5 metre radio fully steerable telescope, which members can access with involvement in the radio astronomy section. Members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the Society. Other areas of interest that members can participate in include deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet, radio astronomy and computing, cosmology, astrophysics, historical studies and research and astronomy in general. Contact details for various section directors are provided in the yearbook, but further information may be obtained by visiting the ASV website, and notifications of events are given in the Crux Extra bulletin sent out via email to members. Please note that the ASV will conform to all government health directives, and ASV events may be required to be cancelled, moved or postponed. Further information can be gleaned from writing to the Secretary of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. That's the Secretary, Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. Otherwise, you can go to the ASV website at www.asv.org.au. Hey you. And that's where it all will be revealed. Now, having said that, what I was going to do, just quickly, where is my web page? Calendar. Maybe not. Calendar always takes forever to load, but there it is, coming up. Okay, let's just give you a bit of a quick rundown of what happened. Yes, okay. So last Wednesday saw the monthly meeting, which I admit that I forgot to promote last Friday. It's always a bit of a trick to remember about the monthly meeting in the following Wednesday, and I forgot to mention it. Nevertheless, we had a speaker, trying to find a name, Kirsten Banks. The speaker was presented by the Wiradjura astrophysicist and science communicator Kirsten Banks. Kirsten will take you on a journey of astronomy that has been practiced in the land referred to as Australia for the past 65,000 years. Kirsten is a scientia PhD candidate at the University of New South Wales, studying galactic archaeology and seismology. She is well known for her quick, entertaining science videos on TikTok. Okay, so that was last Wednesday. Now, there is a video. They did stream that, and as far as I know, it is available to view. If you go to the Astronomical Society of Victoria's YouTube channel, you'll find that YouTube presentation, or the presentation that was streamed on YouTube, should be there to view. So that was from last Wednesday night, which I've been meaning to sit down and view myself. Just haven't quite got around to it. But that was last Wednesday. I should have given that a plug last Friday, but just didn't think about it. Alright, this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night cast missions on all these frequencies. G'day to Richard, VK3VRS on the chat window, and Martin, VK7JAH on the chat window there. Come on guys, come up on the chat window. Martin says 160 is very clear. That's fantastic. I'm glad to see that I'm getting across Bass Strait. Magnificent. Thanks Martin for that. That's a pretty good report. Conditions must be good. Alright, now let's run into a few sky notes from the planetarium. I'll just do a bit of a rerun of the same story last week, if I can just quickly find them. Okay, now just briefly about what's happening with the planets. If you're into looking at the planets through your binoculars or telescopes. Visible planets this month. Mercury returns to our eastern skies, visible in the early dawn from 5 AM before fading by sunrise. Venus is now back, but as the morning star, rising in the dawn from around 4 AM and a little earlier each morning as the month progresses. Mars has completed its pass behind the Sun and will be visible from around 3:30 AM, joining Mercury and Venus in our early morning sky. Jupiter is now below the western horizon by evening as its orbit takes it behind the Sun. The giant planet's third brightest object at night after the Moon and Venus, and will return next month in the early morning sky. Saturn has just passed behind the Sun, but it's still too close to the Sun. The famous ring planet will, however, become visible in the pre-dawn light from early April. Meteors. The Alpha Centaurids and Beta Centaurids are active from the 2nd to the 25th of the month, peaking on the 8th, been and gone. but nevertheless, if you're looking up in the sky and see a few shooting stars, very likelihood there'll be Alpha Centaurids and Beta Centaurids. They are different, but it is difficult to distinguish between them, occurring near the 2 pointers. They are not strong showers, but often have fireballs and persistent trails. 25 per hour can occur, but usually 6 per hour has been normal. Alright, there's a lot of other stuff here that ScienceWorks has provided, but I'll just skip over that. Today is the 11th, so I'm just going to read out a few interesting dates like I normally do, and I'll start off from the 12th. There's no... Oh yes, there is something that occurred on the 11th. On the 11th of February, today, in the year 2003, first measurements using the Wilkinson microwave and anoscopy probe data to reveal relic Big Bang temperature as a variation across the universe had started using the WMAP. WMAP. Okay. On the 12th of February 1947, a 100-ton iron meteorite falls in the Sakhalin, southeast Russia. Sikhot, Sikhote. How do you say that? Sikhote, Alin, ALIN, southeast Russia, largest in recorded history, brighter than the sun, with deafening sound and a smoke trail lasting several hours. That was 1947. Also on the 12th of February 1961, Venera 1 probe, USSR, launched to Venus by the Soviet Union. Also on the 12th of February 2001, the Near, N-E-A-R, Near Shoemaker USA, is first probe to land on an asteroid number 433 Eros, 2001. On 13th of February 2004, discovery of largest diamond, white star BPM 37093, is announced. Not much more detail on that. It vaguely rings a bell. Anyway, 2004 discovery of largest diamond, white star BPM 37093 is announced. Further research on that one. 14th of February 1990, Voyager takes the famous pale blue dot picture of Earth as it looks back while speeding out of the solar system. Yes, and I've read out the little citation that Carl Sagan has written about that image. Maybe I should reinvestigate that one. It's quite a poignant thing he says. One more date. On the 15th of February 1564, birth of astronomer, physicist and engineer Galileo Galilei in Pisa, Italy. Supported the heliocentric solar system and studied motion, telescopes, moons of Jupiter, rings of Saturn, phases of Venus, sunspots and features of the moon. Good old Galileo. Alright, there's plenty more dates there actually, but I'll leave that to later. You're tuned to VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast. Now, an article I was going to leave till left over from last Friday, I just touched on. I won't read the whole thing out because it'll take just too long, but suffice to say that one of the problems that the astronomer has, especially if you're doing backyard astronomy in suburbia, is light pollution, and I know the Astronomical Society of Victoria has a very active section dedicated to light pollution, and they do some fairly good things to try and reduce light pollution from city lights. It might if most lights scattering upwards rather than downwards, they can notify council, and sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. Nevertheless, in New Zealand, the Pacific nation's audacious bid to become the world's first dark sky nation might provide a blueprint for the rest of the world. It says here that if Becky Batman had to pick just one star out of the 3,000 you can typically see in the New Zealand night sky, she'd pick Arcturus, the brightest star in the Bootes constellation. It shines orange for one thing, and because of that it's statistically most likely to have life orbiting around it. Most nights for the past 2 years the Astronomy Guide has used a green laser pointer and collapsible Dobsonian telescope to show people around the night skies of the Wairarapa, a rural wine region in the southeastern corner of North Island. Year round, the nomadic guide meets people in public parks, backyards and on the wide beaches of the South Wairarapa coast. During the New Zealand's climate summer months, as wine tourism peaks, she can be found waving her pointer like a Jedi high above the bushy green vines of the region's popular vineyard, surrounded by stargazers sipping on Pinot Noir wine. Tourists begin with an introduction to the Southern Cross and Milky Way, and generally extend to chat about the origin of the universe and the fleeting time in which humans have occupied planet Earth. These days, as one of the Wairarapa's leading voices on the benefits of stargazing, Batman is just as likely to end up urging guests to get behind the country's bid to protect the night sky. To her, a clear night sky free from light pollution is one of the last wilderness's frontiers facing the threat of extinction, and now is the time to act. Batman is not alone in thinking this way. In late 2019, the Pacific Nation announced a plan to become the world's first dark sky nation at the New Zealand Starlight Conference. Conference delegates from around the world were concerned about the world's increasing light pollution and its proven negative effects on human health and nocturnal wildlife, but were heartened by the exceptional quality of starry nights in New Zealand and the country's growing appetite for dark sky conservation. They agreed that the plan was audacious, but believed if New Zealand could pull off such a crazy experiment, it just might provide a blueprint for the world. On a recent winter evening, Batman set up her telescope on a frosty porch of the Witmanuka retreat. She said, I hired her to join me at an off-grid cabin, and I rented in the hills of a working sheep and beef farm about an hour's drive from my hometown of Wellington. As the clouds cleared, Batman unpacked and assembled her manual telescope, laid out half a dozen glass jars, hand-painted red and filled with fairy lights to subtly light our way while not obliterating our night vision, and set to work revealing the evening's constellations. Minutes into the description of where to find Southern Cross, first looked for a kite-shaped constellation in the Milky Way, a shooting star flew across the sky. And someone said, "Oh, wonderful. Did you see that?" said Bateman enthusiastically. She says, "I see 10 or so shooting stars every few hours when I'm out here. Lately, though, I'm seeing more and more man-made pollution like Elon Musk's SpaceX satellites. To me, the dark skies are humankind's last true natural wilderness. Potentially they won't be with us in years to come. It worries me there's so much to lose in the world's obsession with space tourism and so many reasons to preserve what's there, or what's already here. When it comes to dark sky preservation on the world stage, the International Dark Sky Association, IDA, is the organisation responsible. Set up in 1988, it runs a dark sky conservation program that recognises the quality of the world's dark skies using a 5-pronged certification system. Within the system, dark sky sanctuaries rank highest as the most remote and often darkest places in the world, followed by reserves, parks, communities and urban night sky places. To achieve an IDA certification, a dark sky must meet a range of criteria including protection from light pollution, accessibility to visitors and wide-ranging support from residents. In 2012, New Zealand's Aoki Mackenzie community successfully applied to the IDA to become an accredited dark sky reserve, and inland plain region about 180 kilometres southwest of Christchurch, where the large country sheep stations have been the norm for more than a century. Yeah, okay, that goes on a bit. Suffice to say, let's see if I can just find a wrap up on this article. Excuse me. So in the last part here, it says that on the 24th of June 2020, thanks to a 2020 pre-election promise by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, New Zealanders will celebrate the Marakiri, the midwinter constellation that marks the Māori New Year, as a public holiday for the first time. And about an hour before sunrise, people from all walks of life will come together, remembering loved ones who have passed, and look to the stars for hope and inspiration before sharing the magnificent sky above. So nevertheless, New Zealand has a plan to push the dark sky concept, and yep, all the best to them, and it may just turn into a global thing over time, hopefully. But even here in Australia, we have dark sky sites galore. The ASV, of course, has its Leon Mao dark sky site up there at Heathcote, just a bit north of Heathcote. And most astronomical societies all have their own little football oval that they go to set up telescopes away from city lights. But it is a problem, and it's well known that places like New York, those sorts of big cities, where people are born in those cities and practically die in those cities and never go out in the country, never see the sky in all its splendour. They'd be lucky just to see the 100 brightest stars, less than that probably. But when they get a chance to go out into the country away from bright city lights, they're absolutely gobsmacked and dumbfounded that there's so much light in the sky. But you can thank various people that introduced astronomy to the public by setting up telescopes on the sidewalk, the footpath, and introduce astronomy. The ASV does that quite actively. They set up telescopes, Dobsonian telescopes, on the bridges over the Yarra at certain times of the year. There's a couple of chaps that go down to the beach and set up telescopes down there, and before you know it, they've got the public wandering over, dying to have a look through a telescope. First time in some cases, so it's pretty magnificent. This is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Talking about Elon Musk, incidentally, apparently a solar storm has knocked out 40 newly launched satellites from Elon Musk's SpaceX. A geomagnetic storm triggered by a large burst of radiation from the sun has disabled at least 40 of the 49 satellites newly launched by SpaceX as part of its Starlink internet communications network. The incident was believed to mark the largest collective loss of satellites stemming from a single geomagnetic event, and was unique in the way it unfolded. Harvard Smithsonian astrophysicist Jonathan McDowell said, SpaceX said that the satellites were hit last Friday, February 4, a day after being launched into the preliminary low deployment orbit around 210 kilometers above the Earth. 210. Elon Musk's company said it routinely put satellites into low orbits in order to be able to crash them back to the Earth and incinerate them on entry if malfunctions were detected during the initial system checks. But it was not clear if the company had anticipated the severity of the extreme space weather conditions it faced. The Thursday launch by a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket flown from Space Kennedy Center in Florida roughly coincided with a geomagnetic storm watch posted for last Wednesday and Thursday by the US Space Weather Prediction Center. The alert warned that solar flare activity from a full halo coronal mass ejection, a large blast of solar plasma, and electromagnetic radiation from the sun's surface was detected on January 29 and was likely to reach Earth as early as February 1. The alert also said resulting geomagnetic storm conditions on Earth were likely to persist until February 3 at weakening levels. According to SpaceX, the speed and severity of the storm drastically increased atmospheric density at the satellite's low orbit altitude, creating an intense friction or drag that knocked out at least 40 of them. Starlink operators tried commanding the satellites into a safe mode, orbital configuration, allowing them to fly edge on to minimize the drag. But those efforts failed for most of the satellites, forcing them into lower levels of the atmosphere where they burned up on re-entry, SpaceX said. He said also believed it marked the single greatest loss of satellites from a solar storm and the first mass satellite failure caused by an increase in atmospheric density as opposed to bombardment of charged particles and electromagnetic radiation itself. Dr. McDowell said that the incident raised questions of whether the elevated orbital drag caused by the storm exceeded design limits of whether SpaceX believed incorrectly that the satellites could handle so much density. He said that if they weren't expecting to handle that much density, it sounds like that they weren't paying attention to the space weather reports. SpaceX did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Los Angeles area-based rocket company, founded by billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk, has launched hundreds of small satellites into orbit since 2019 as part of his Starlink service for broadband internet. In a January 15 tweet, Musk said that the network consisted of 1,469 active satellites, with 272 moving into operational orbits, minus the 40 that failed the other day. It doesn't say that, but I thought I'd throw that in.
While I was having a drink, just put your call sign on RCB.
It's my background producer there. Alright, where's that? There it is. Thanks, Richard. Alright, now, so you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 EKH, broadcasting on prime frequency 80 meters, 3541, and on 160, 1865 kilohertz. Now, it's 10:34. I was just going to run with this little 11-minute video grab. Let me see. Where's the blurb on this? Yeah. No, not that one. Okay, I've lost the bit of a lead up to it. I don't know why. It was just here somewhere. Anyway, I'll get the this little video to run. So at least in the preamble here, folks, that if you haven't got your YouTube running. Be probably a good idea because this is mostly a visual thing. And yeah, I did have something open here to read, but I seem to have lost it. It's a NASA thing. Maybe this is it. No, maybe this is it. Yeah, okay. Oh, there we go. Alright, got it. Okay, so NASA looks ahead in 2022. Artemis X-59, lunar exploration and more. After a 2021 filled with complex challenges and extraordinary successes, 2022 is shaping up to be another busy year for NASA. Receiving the first images from the James Webb Space Telescope, launching the first uncrewed Artemis mission around the Moon and back to Earth, sending NASA science and technology to the surface of the Moon on 3 missions with our commercial partners, and flying with the agency's first quiet supersonic plane. Just a few of the things NASA has planned in the months ahead. Now, they've kind of got a little video here, which courtesy of NASA. Let's just see if I can get this up and running. Where are we? Yep, that's it. Okay, stop. Alright. Now, let's hope that audio works for everything here, and let's just here we go. This is VK3EKH. Courtesy of NASA. It's a little quick clip here. Let's see how it goes. Yep, okay.
In 2021, we touched down on Mars, then reached new heights on the Red Planet. We also made progress preparing for a flight test around the Moon. And we had a very busy year in low Earth orbit, exploring other deep space destinations, addressing climate change here on our home planet, testing technologies for next-generation aircraft, and much more. Here's a look back at those and other things we did this year at NASA. There were plenty of developments in 2021 with existing and future missions designed to explore our solar system and beyond.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
The Perseverance rover landed on Mars in February and later collected its first rock core sample, which could be retrieved and returned to Earth by a future mission. While the Ingenuity helicopter, a technology demonstration on that mission, became the first aircraft to make a powered, controlled flight on another planet. We completed testing of the James Webb Space Telescope and sent it to its launch site in French Guiana. The wide array of science missions we sent to space included the first mission to study the polarization of X-rays, the first spacecraft to visit Jupiter's Trojan asteroids, and our first planetary defense test mission. Our Chandra X-ray Observatory may have detected signs of a planet crossing in front of a star outside of our Milky Way galaxy for the first time. While our Parker Solar Probe provided surprising views of Venus during a close flyby and became the first spacecraft in history to touch the Sun, flying through and sampling the environment in the Sun's upper atmosphere. And the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, helped discover a trio of hot worlds larger than Earth orbiting a much younger version of our Sun. Some new but familiar faces took on leadership roles at the agency. The Biden-Harris administration chose former Senator and Space Shuttle payload specialist Bill Nelson and former astronaut and Space Shuttle commander Pam Melroy as NASA's newest administrator and deputy administrator, respectively. Some of our work in 2021 reflected the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to addressing climate change and its effect on our home planet, something NASA is uniquely positioned to do. We announced our Earth System Observatory, a new set of missions to help guide efforts related to climate change, disaster mitigation, fighting forest fires, and improving real-time agricultural processes.
And liftoff. Liftoff of an Atlas V rocket and Landsat 9.
We partnered with the U.S. Geological Survey to launch the Landsat 9 satellite, built to continue the program's 50-year track record of monitoring the planet's changing landscapes. Several weeks later, Vice President Kamala Harris visited the agency as we unveiled the satellite's first images. NASA conducted and participated in a series of climate change studies related to high tide floods and Earth's energy imbalance and energy budget.
This animation shows.
As part of a global response to climate change, we participated in the UN Climate Change Conference. We captured data with a specialized instrument on the space station to help fight forest fires in the western U.S. We also coordinated with researchers to develop dashboards on the spread and effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, including tracking any changes to worldwide air pollution. And we launched an online platform called OpenET to help farmers and water managers in 17 western U.S. states accelerate improvements and innovations in water management. 2021 was the busiest year for human spaceflight at the International Space Station in a decade. It also marked the start of the 21st straight year of humans living and working in space. The splashdown of our SpaceX Crew 1 mission marked the completion of the first operational commercial crew flight to the station and the first nighttime splashdown of a U.S. crewed spacecraft since Apollo 8 in 1968.
And liftoff. Godspeed, Discovery, and Crew 2.
Our SpaceX Crew 2 mission followed that. It was the first commercial crew mission to fly 2 international partners and spent a record 199 days in space. And in November, NASA's SpaceX Crew 3 mission arrived at the space station for a planned 6-month scientific research mission. Astronauts and cosmonauts completed 13 spacewalks outside the space station, the most in a year since 2010. With no slowdown to human spaceflight in sight, we introduced 10 new astronaut candidates in early December. We also accepted applications for the next class of flight directors and announced plans for the agency's first 2 private astronaut missions to the International Space Station. Cargo missions flown to the space station by our commercial partners delivered more than 33,000 pounds of science, tools, and critical supplies, and returned thousands of pounds of research and equipment to Earth. And we signed agreements with 3 companies to develop early concepts of commercial destinations as part of our efforts to enable a robust American-led commercial economy in low Earth orbit. We made significant progress in 2021 preparing for the Artemis 1 integrated flight test around the Moon next year. Engineers at our Kennedy Space Center finished installing and testing components and systems for the Orion spacecraft to make sure it is ready for Artemis 1. Meanwhile, teams at our Stennis Space Center completed the 8-part Green Run test campaign with the Space Launch System or SLS rocket's core stage. There was also work in 2021 toward future Artemis missions to the Moon with astronauts. We delivered a key piece of Artemis 2 flight hardware to Florida, completed the welding of another major piece of hardware for the mission, and conducted a series of water impact testing with a test version of Orion. We partnered with SpaceX to continue development of the first commercial human lunar lander. Through Artemis, we plan to land the first woman and first person of color on the Moon. Working with commercial partners, we completed the first propulsion system ground tests with the power and propulsion element for Gateway. Also, Japan became the 3rd nation to support development of the lunar outpost. And the lunar landing site for our Viper robotic rover was selected, a region just outside the western edge of Nobile crater at the Moon's south pole. Viper will be delivered to the Moon in 2023 through our Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative, or CLPS, part of Artemis. We advanced space technology in 2021 with new concepts to help drive space exploration and benefit life on Earth. Our laser communications relay demonstration was launched to highlight the next era of space communications. We teamed with the Department of Energy to advance nuclear spacecraft propulsion technologies and fission surface power concepts to boost future space exploration. An onboard suite of cutting-edge technology helped the Perseverance rover land safely on Mars, provide its first weather report, and produce oxygen on the red planet for the first time. And our Deep Space Atomic Clock concluded a successful 2-year mission to advance precise timekeeping in space. We continued our aeronautics research efforts this year to validate unique airframe design technologies for more quiet, safe, and efficient flight on next-generation aircraft. We reached several milestones in assembly of our X-59 quiet supersonic technology aircraft and removed the experimental airplane from its external construction supports. Meanwhile, we completed high-voltage testing on our all-electric X-57 Maxwell aircraft. We conducted wind tunnel testing with a full-scale Concept X-plane, the centerpiece of a national partnership with industry, academia, and other agencies to achieve net zero emissions in aviation by 2050. We wrapped up our Airspace Technology Demonstration 2 project after 6 years of successful research into reducing flight delays, streamlining airport operations, and curbing emissions. We conducted flight tests with an all-electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft to collect data critical to our Advanced Air Mobility National Campaign. And a wildfire management workshop NASA hosted demonstrated how emergency responders can fight fires more safely and effectively using NASA technology. We launched our Mission Equity Initiative in 2021 as part of a federal government effort to support historically underserved and underrepresented communities. Our headquarters building in Washington was named after Mary W. Jackson, the first African-American female engineer at NASA. She was part of a group of women whose work was critical to sending the first Americans to space. And students who are deaf, blind, hearing, and visually impaired connected with astronauts aboard the space station during an in-flight event to promote inclusion in space. There were plenty of opportunities in 2021 for students to engage in NASA STEM-related activities. NASA collaborated with future engineers to create the Artemis Moon Pod Essay Contest, in which nearly 14,000 students from every state in the country participated. Our Mission to Mars Student Challenge demonstrated how science, math, and creativity are used to design, build, launch, and land a Mars mission. We published First Woman, the agency's first digital interactive graphic novel in English and Spanish. Student teams designed and launched climate remote sensing and space exploration experiments on suborbital rockets and high-altitude balloons. And the agency awarded funding to minority-serving institutions to study our home planet, develop space technology, and expand participation in science, technology, engineering, and math fields. When all is said and done, the underlying reason we do what we do, from advancing space exploration to making groundbreaking scientific and technical discoveries, to monitoring the health of our planet, to developing innovative modes of transportation, is to benefit you. Those are some of the highlights from what NASA did in 2021. For more details, visit nasa.gov/2021. Thanks for watching. Please have a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season, and we look forward to sharing more NASA highlights with you in 2022.
Right. Thank you, NASA, for that little piece there, courtesy of NASA there. Certainly a lot of interesting things that are being done there, and continue to into this next year coming up. Now, take these headphones off because they're annoying me. All right, we're there. Good. Okay. Alright, this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with a regular Friday night broadcast. Okay, 10:49. Now, this is a little interesting too. This is a visual thing, so stay watching your TV screens. You can find the article associated with that first. Where was it? There it is. Okay. Alright, so I'll just run with this image and I'll read this article out. There we go. Alright, we're back with the audio. Alright, now, what you're seeing on the screen there is real, and it is this is real. NASA camera a million miles away shows the moon crossing the face of the Earth, February 5, 2022. Although it looks fake, this viral footage of the moon orbiting Earth is actually real. It's just not new, despite making the rounds again this week. It actually was captured over 6 years ago. There you go. Back in 2015, a NASA camera aboard the Deep Space Climate Observatory, or Discoverer, captured this unique series of images displaying the dark side, or the other side of the moon. The dark side of the moon is often used to refer to the hemisphere of the moon that is facing away from Earth. However, it is more properly called the far side, as it is exposed to an equal amount of sunlight as the side facing Earth. We can never view the far side from Earth due to the phenomenon called tidal locking, which occurs when an astronomical body takes the same amount of time to complete a full rotation around its axis and fully orbit around its partner. Although DSCOVR, DSCOVR, primary purpose is to monitor solar winds from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, the satellite also houses NASA's Earth Polychromatic Imaging Camera, or EPEC, which captured these images. This 4 megapixel CCD camera and telescope maintains a constant view of Earth as it orbits around, as it orbits, and takes 13 to 22 images every day. In order to capture Earth's natural color, NASA combines 3 different monochrome exposures taken 30 seconds apart. The final combined image has a slight green offset to the right of the moon and thin blue and red offsets to the left of it, which is due to the moon's movement between each exposure. If you wish to view more images taken by EPEC, NASA publishes daily color images of different views of Earth as it rotates throughout the day. So there it is. There's the moon passing in front of the Earth, which was taken back in 2015. It's a sight that you would not normally see on Earth. Most exciting, interesting stuff indeed, isn't it? VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Now, here's a little Science AVC article that I found just a moment ago. Let's see if I can quickly get the text up on this one. Okay, now I've got a picture here of this article. So back to vMix for a second, and let me bring up the image. And once again. Right. Okay. So what we have up on the screen here, for those not able to see the YouTube channel and or the ATV repeater, it's a couple of satellite and installation antennas, and the article here that I've got on this: a satellite ground station opens in Peterborough, South Australia, to boost Australian space communication capability. Posted 12 hours ago. A South Australian country town is now the home of a vital of a vital piece of communication infrastructure that will boost Australia's space capability. A $1 million ground station has opened in Peterborough, a town in South Australia's mid-north, to house transmitters that feed data between commercial and government agencies and satellites orbiting space. There's not much point in putting a satellite up if you can't get information back from it, Nova Systems Chief Executive Jim McDowell said. Mr. McDowell said weather or GPS data, for example, could be sent and retrieved more than 12 times a day when a satellite passed over the site. Whoever puts the satellite up assumes we've got the licenses for the spectrum and we're able to get the information back to the users, he said. Mr. McDowell said having an Australian-owned, operated and controlled business involved was important in maintaining sovereign capability. Nova System has already acquired an Australian Communications and Media Authority licence that allows it to serve as a ground station for 2 American companies and 1 Italian firm. I've got another image of it here too I can bring up. It's a bit of a close-up of the dome. And we're still there, amazing. Back to the article. So Mr. McDowell said that the geography of the Peterborough made it the ideal location for the facility. He said it's very, very flat, and so that means that no shading and shadowing of signals coming backwards and forwards, and it's electronically very silent, so there's not much in the way of electromagnetic interference, he said. He also said that the town's internet connectivity was good and that its proximity to Adelaide was a plus. Mr. McDowell said that Nova Systems was connecting more fibre to the site and was looking to build 75 more satellite dishes, each with 16 antennae. At the testing 1 2 3, excuse me. At the minute, the facility looks like 2 big golf balls, and underneath the surface are the antenna, and one of them looks like a satellite dish you'd have on top of your house, he reckons. So think of a very complex set of dishes on your roof, and you're to receive cable television. Anyway, the big thing is, Mr. McDowell said a few dozen jobs were created as the construction of new terminals progressed, which is all important, which would eventually be replaced by high-skilled positions to maintain the equipment. Sounds like a good job for the local lads over there. In the next couple of years, if we do what we think it'll do, it's likely to be somewhere between 170 to 200 million worth of hardware on the ground. And District Council of Peterborough Mayor Ruth Whittle said that the local government was extremely grateful, as you do, that the Nova Systems had chosen to come to Peterborough. Yeah, I'll leave it at there. So there it is, a little bit of technology coming to Peterborough in South Australia, and if you're a local ham over there looking for work, I'd be knocking on the dome, knocking on someone's door over there anyway, because it sounds like it'd be a to have. This is VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society Victoria, and there it is. We're coming up to the hour, and I did have a couple of other articles there. It's just amazing how quick the time flies when you are having fun. Alright, space weather. The solar wind is currently at 407.1 kilometres a second. She's zipping along at a density of 20.4 protons per cubic centimetre, and there are currently 4 solar sunspots on the disk of the Sun as we speak, designated AR 2941, AR 2940, AR 2939 and AR 2944. The current sunspot number is 78, and the radio sun at a wavelength of 10.7 centimetres is 126 solar flux units. Geomagnetic storm forecast. A minor G1 class geomagnetic storm are possible on February 13 when a stream of solar wind is expected to hit Earth's magnetic field. The gaseous material is flowing faster than 500 kilometers a second from an equatorial hole in the Sun's atmosphere. Arctic auroras could spill into Valentine's Day. How romantic would that be? Also here it says 24 hours later a CME did hit the Earth's magnetic field on February 9, which I think is the one that upset Elon Musk's satellites. The geomagnetic storm erupted 24 hours later. Auroras bursted into life over the coast of Scotland and elsewhere. Okay. And as of the 11th of February, there were 2,267 potentially hazardous asteroids, and there's a big list of them there on spaceweather.com if you wish to study that further. I also got a report in from Steve, VK3YJQ. Thanks, Steve, if you're listening. He says that exoplanet, that's it. An exoplanet, another exoplanet has been discovered, Proxima Centauri D, a type Earth mass planet. This planet has been found using a large set of observations taken from the Espresso spectrograph at the VLT. This candidate planet is the third detected in the system and the lightest yet discovered orbiting this star. At just a quarter of Earth's mass, the planet is also one of the lightest exoplanets ever found. The analysis of subsets of the Espresso data, the activity in the indicators and chromatic RV suggest that this signal is not caused by a stellar variability but instead by a planetary companion orbiting Proxima Centauri D. So now they don't give me, or Steve hasn't given me the count at this stage, but last week he did say that the current exoplanet count was 4,650. I suspect that this one probably takes it up by one. So 400. Let's just say at the moment that the exoplanet count is 4,651, plus or minus. So there it is. Thanks, Steve, for that one. You may or may not be listening. All right. At 11:02, I think that's about where we are. Just seeing if there was anything there that I really did want to say. How big is that article? Talking about, just to end up with this last one here, because we were talking about the amount of debris that must have been created by Elon Musk's 40 satellites that carked it because of the solar flare. This article here, White House looks to clean up space debris. And they say here that after decades of launches, Earth's orbit has become a junkyard of dead satellites, abandoned rocket bodies. Anytime two objects travelling at about 5 miles a second collide, the impact could look like a scene straight out of a movie. In real life, no people in space have been hit, but the International Space Station has. In 2016, a small piece of debris cracked a window on the orbiting outpost, and in December, its crew prepared for an emergency evacuation after a Russian anti-satellite missile test created a massive debris cloud. In 2016, a small piece of debris cracked a window on the orbiting outpost, and in December, its crew... I just read that line, didn't I? So, today, US Space Command is tracking more than 40,000 objects in space, and only about 5,000 of them are active satellites. The vast majority of space junk still in orbit is from the two major players in the first space race, Russia and the US. If the spacecraft were left there by the US government, and in general they were, then that becomes their responsibility to clean it up, former Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary Doug Laverle said. In the same way that the military would not leave a broken down tank on a battlefield, nor would it go ahead and leave a derelict ship at sea. So far, the effort to clean up space has been led by Japan and the European Space Agency. Private companies are also pitching in to help. Some companies, like Clear Space, are trying to grab debris with robotic tentacles. Others are trying to catch it with a massive fishing net. In August, a company called Astronomical successfully tested capturing a small satellite with a magnetic arm. We use a robotic arm that extends and attaches to the metallic plate that allows us then to basically perform a tow truck or tug service, bringing that satellite down to a safe distance. Ron Lopez with Astroscale said, and then we release it into a naturally safe burn up into the atmosphere. Astroscale caught the attention of Prince of Wales, who visited its UK-based mission control this week. The company now has a debris removal contracts with the UK, the European Union and Japan. We haven't seen and we haven't gotten as much traction from the US government, Lopez said. The Biden administration is starting to change that. In January, the White House held a meeting with experts about how to clean up space, and the Space Force is launching a program called Orbital Prime that will give companies the seed funding to do it. Space debris is both an environmentally concern and a national security risk that could jeopardize GPS and satellites. That is only getting worse now that the private space companies are also sending up their own satellites and rockets into Earth's orbit. So there it is. I just wanted to get that one out as well. So on that, we shall conclude the broadcast for this evening, this 11th of February. Thanks to everybody who has tuned in to listen to tonight's session and watch it on YouTube and on the ATV repeater, VK3RTV, and the various other formats. Not much chat occurring on the Discord. Only Richard and Martin's rolled up on there, unless I haven't. It looks like that's all there is. So it's been pretty quiet on the chat window. We've got a couple of emails there. One from Don, HDX, and from Andrew, VK3KIS, reporting on signals there. So thanks, guys. All good signals on 80 and 160 and RTV. That's excellent. And from Andrew, he reports watching via YouTube. And he says he lived in New York for 10 years and really missed the sky. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Alright, this is VK3EKH concluding transmission on 160 metres, the medium wave surface. There won't be any callback on 1865. We'll do that on 80 metres. So stations on 80 metres, please stand by, and we'll get to you in just a moment. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel with VK3 Charlie Sierra Juliet on the microphone, broadcasting on behalf of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Any information about the ASV, just go to the website at www.asv.org.au. Thank you for listening on 1865. We'll be back next week to do it all again. This is VK3EKH concluding the medium wave service. Don't you love that? Medium wave service. Ah dear. Anyway. Alright. 80 metres now. The 80 metre service. Shortwave. I think that's it. Yep. Alright. So, this is VK3EKH listening on 3541 kHz.
VK3VIN. VK3HDX. VK330.
Right, VK3VIN, VK3HDX, and who was that last station?
VK3 Japan Radio.
Aha, okay. Thanks, Frank. Any other stations wishing to call in? VK3EKH.
VK5GAZ.
Alright, VK5GAZ. Sounds like a new station. VK5GAZ. Alright. And any other stations wishing to call in? VK3EKH. Okay. Right, across to you there, Ian. Good evening to you. VK3VIN, VK3EKH.
Top of the list. VK3EKH, VK3VIN. Well, what can I say? Another good broadcast. Interesting to hear about New Zealand's activity. And Elon Musk he pays for some of the cleanup, and just doesn't leave the activity to everyone else, or people who might just be interested enough or concerned enough to do it. Signal report, 5 and 9 plus 20, but with quite a few visits up to 30 dB over 9 tonight, Clint, so extremely good signals on a relatively quiet band, and that's always good to hear on 80 metres. As for 160, just a tiny little whisper on 1865. Good and interesting broadcast, and enjoyed the video section as well, even though it was visual in the main. That was the other thing to mention. On, when was it? Tuesday morning, because I'm subscribed to the channel, the video channel through YouTube, I got a notification that the ASB broadcast was available. So that happened Tuesday morning. I'm just wondering whether you are aware that that notification would come through on a Tuesday, and I didn't actually check out the link from the notification, but I wonder if you were aware of it. It's sort of a bit a few days down the line from the actual broadcast. VK3EKH, and g'day to everybody else on the call back tonight. VK3EKH, VK3VIN.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. VK3VIN, Kangaroo Flat, VK3AKH returning. And you're a good signal down here tonight. You're peaking 30 over 9. Not doing too bad at all. A little bit of QSP, but it's the strongest I've seen you actually. That's my fault. If you're referring to the YouTube stream, I have a bad habit of walking away from the computer when I leave here, and sometimes I forget to turn off the stream. And I know that I got a response, a message from Ian, VK3 Quebec Lima, and somebody else contacted me too. Oh, Robert, yeah, VK3 XRA. Robert sent me a text, and he says, you realise you're streaming still, and I don't know, it's been a few days. I only had colour bars running, just the colour bars, so there was nothing else there, but I have to remember that when I finish here to look at the vMix program that I use for the video side of things, and there's just down the bottom of the screen here, there's it's as plain as the nose on your face. It says stream in red, quite an obvious red against an otherwise grey background, and that's telling me that I'm streaming. So if I don't click on that to close the stream down, then I forget about it. It's out of sight, out of mind, and it just sits there streaming whatever's going on with the vMix program, usually colour bars or something else. So apologies for that. If everybody was getting little announcements saying that the Astronomical Society of Victoria was streaming or something along those lines, but that was me. So I apologise for that, and I shall remember to shut the stream down when I finish here tonight. Thanks, Ian. Good on you, mate. Good to hear. And yes, about Elon Musk. Well, what can we say? Across to you there, Don. VK3HDX, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH in the group VK3HDX.
So
good evening, Clint. Good evening, everyone. Good broadcast again. Great signal. Good pictures. We had half a dozen visitors here tonight, Clint. So when you played the NASA clip, I put it up on an 85-inch screen in the lounge room. So you had a lot of extra viewers that wouldn't have normally seen it, and one
most impressed and had no idea about amateur television, but they wanted to know what I was watching out here in the shack. So, yeah, some extra eyes on it tonight. Thanks for the broadcast, and we'll look forward to next week. VK3EKH and the group VK3HDX.
Good on you, Don. VK3HDX, VK3EKH. Excellent stuff to hear. Gee, you've also got a super strong signal here too. You're peaking to 40 over. So yes, the conditions on the band are very good tonight for sure. But yeah, thanks Don for that, and welcome to all the folks if they're still watching there by any chance. But yeah, I hope that little video clip came across okay. I have to very quickly listen to multiple sources around here just to make sure that the sound is sort of going through okay. You know, from the from the audio mixer, it's absolutely hi-fi. And then what comes off the TV, off the off-air from the repeater, is also quite acceptable. But I think the YouTube feed would be the best for overall quality and sound. So that's available. I make that available. But because I'm broadcasting standard def, I could tell here on the visions on the screen here that it was just a little blurry. But the repeater handled it okay, so everything was all right. Yeah, good old NASA. They're definitely doing great guns, and I really do look forward to seeing us getting back to the moon. So that'll be something really to celebrate that day that happens in a few years' time. Anyway, thanks Don. Frank, VK3 Juliet Radio, VK3EKH. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, VK3EKH, VK3JR. Very strong viewers, as you seem to be everywhere. Great broadcast. Very impressive about the lunar report card for 2021. Now I can confirm that the count of exoplanets confirmed 4651. As per their website right now. Thanks for doing this, Sid. All the best for the week. We'll talk next week. VK3EKH, VK3JR.
Yeah, good on you, Frank. VK3JR, VK3EKH returning. Very good. Not as strong as normal. You're hovering around 10 over, about 10 over 9, so a little bit on the weaker side than usual, but still signal held out quite well, so audio was quite good. Thanks for the confirmation on the exoplanet count. So very good. I must try and get an application on the phone for that, so I can be given warnings of, well, not warnings, but notifications of when a new exoplanet is seen or found. All right. Thanks, Frank. And now VK5GAZ. I think it is VK5 Golf Alpha Zulu, VK3EKH. Go ahead, name here is Clint.
Yeah, VK5GAZ returning. Yeah, I was just tuning the band and come across the broadcast there, the news about Peterborough, and picked my ears up. I used to be a train driver and spent a few nights away from home up in Peterborough in the barracks there, and yeah, I enjoyed the broadcast very much. Thanks for calling me back there. A little bit of QSB on your signal. I'm north of Adelaide, about 40 k's north of Adelaide, sort of a rural area called Virginia Two Wells area. And a little bit of QSB, as I said, I won't hold it. Thanks for coming back to the call, and I'll be listening again for you. So VK5EKH, VK5GAZ.
Good on you, Gary. VK5GAZ, VK3EKH returning. Good on you, Gary. Thanks very much for calling back. I wondered if I emphasised the Peterborough in South Australia. I was just wondering if there was going to be either a local station or at least a VK5 station that would come up to acknowledge that one. So there it is. It happened. So Yeah, no, thanks, Gary, and I'm sure it'll offer employment to hopefully a couple of blokes over there that'll be interested in maintaining that installation that they're working on. It'll be quite exciting, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks, Gary. You're about 10 over 9, hovering around 10 over 9. Yep, I can see a little bit of QSB, but coming through quite well here into Narre South. The home call sign is VK3CSJ. The home call is VK3 Charlie Sierra Juliet VK3CSJ. Just check us out on QRZ.com, and if you type in VK3EKH in QRZ, you'll also get more information about what we do, how long the station's been running here, and about the Astronomical Society of Victoria. We broadcast every Friday night at 10 o'clock. We usually kick off at 10 o'clock on 80 and 160. And also YouTube and via the Melbourne Television ATV repeater and various other things. So all that information can be found on the QRZ.com page for the call sign. The call sign being the official call for the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Thanks, Gary. Is there any other stations wishing to check in before we disappear? VK3EKH.
VK5 Whiskey Alpha.
G'day Dallas, VK5 Whiskey Alpha. There was a weaker station there. Can that other station try again, please? Right, Juliet Alpha Hotel. Okay, it's you there, Martin. Right. Okay. Well, we'll come to you in just a moment. We'll pop across to Dallas first. VK5 WA, VK3 EKH.
Received quite well here this week, Clint. Last week or last year it's been very, very noisy or just difficult to copy, so I listened to a fair bit of that, so that was quite interesting. Yeah. But I won't hold it, and I just found you on the YouTube too. Looks like a 3 minutes behind. But now I see what you look like and what the shack looks like, so that's excellent. Good. Cheers, VK5 EKH, VK5 WA.
Thanks, Dallas. VK5 WA, VK3 EKH returning. Very good. You're about 10:15 over 9 here into Narre South tonight. Good signal indeed. And thanks for the report and watching on the YouTube side of things as well. Not a problem at all. Thanks, Dallas. Good to hear, mate. Haven't heard you for a little while. Now we've got Martin, VK7JAH, calling in, and not super strong, but we'll see how we go. VK7JAH, VK3 EKH. Yeah, Roger Martin, you're coming through. You're right on the noise floor though. My S meter is hovering around S9 on the meters, and you're just kind of above that. But we can hear. That's the main thing, I suppose. So thanks for calling in, and good to see that the 160 meter transmission was being heard down there. That's really good. I use a vertical antenna. A vertical monopole antenna for 160. It's actually made by Hushcraft. It's an MA160V they call it, a Mike Alpha 160V, and it's got a capacity hat on top. It's top loaded antenna with a capacity hat, a bunch of metal rods that stick out, and its total height is probably about 45 feet in terms of feet, about 40 odd feet high, and actually it doesn't have a ground system on it, no ground radials at all. It just sits there on a stake, insulated from the ground, and because the antenna is so close to a creek, we've got a creek that runs past the property. The ground conductivity is pretty good, so I find no ground systems needed. Well, if I put out some wires, it'd probably work a little bit better, I suppose. Anyway, that's another story. Thanks, Martin. Good to hear you. Thanks very much for calling in. Is there any other stations before we go? VK3 EKH. Somebody there, but very, 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 very weak. Just try again. VK3 EKH listening. Alright, no worries. Anyway, thanks for calling in, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep, 6 stations, and I know there's a couple of listeners there on the side. VK3 VRS and VAT, so g'day Tony. And I think that's about it. So thanks very much for listening to tonight's session. This is VK3 EKH on behalf of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. More information about the ASV can be gleaned from the ASV website at www.asv.org.au, and we'll see you all next week. Take care, look after yourselves. This is VK3 EKH concluding transmissions on 18 metres service.
You got me. Alright, cheers, Glenn. I'll call in.
Thanks, Tony.
Quint, just a quick comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you put up, not every week, but every couple of weeks or every month, a little section in the bit of the WIA broadcast where they talk about final frontiers and other specialist aspects of the AM radio pursuit, just for radio astronomers or radio astronomy, just to mention the broadcast and pick up some more listeners.
I have thought of that, and there has been the odd announcement made over the years, and I'm not really sure how that came about, but nevertheless, I have thought about that, and I suppose I could probably compose a little 10-second thing, 10 or 15-second news item that could be thrown into the mix. Just to give the Friday night session a bit of a plug. So I mean, I rebroadcast the Wireless Institute news on a Sunday morning, so I suppose I should have a little bit in that. Yeah, look, it's food for thought, Ian. I'll take that on board, and if I can come up with something that's only about 5-10 seconds long, maybe 30 seconds. Well, maybe not so long, but I'll throw it into the mix, and they can give it a bit of a plug at some stage. That'd be interesting. Yeah, all right. I see where you're coming from. Thanks, Ian.
It's just a lot of people, you would be surprised how many people don't know that this broadcast is on. And so actually, because I often talk about it, and people say, oh, we didn't even know there was one existed. So I just don't think that's fair. Yeah. We do need to publicise it, I think. Anyway, as you say, food for thought, VK3, EKH, VK3, VIN, 73, Clint.
Thanks, Ian. It is food for thought. I shall take it on and see. I'll get in contact with the broadcast committee and see what they think. And I'm sure they won't have any problems. They'll say to me, look, just send us something to say, or maybe something I can say, just a 15-second grab, and they'll probably plug it up, put it in at some stage. So yeah, that'll be rather interesting for sure. And I know that Bevan, VK5BD, who does the visual broadcast, will be easily able to find. Well, I can easily supply him some visual representation or some graphic that he can run during the advertisement. Thanks, Em. I'll take it on board. VK3 VIN. This is VK3 EKH.
Brilliant. We'll see you next week. VK3VIN video.
All right. So, everybody watching TV, thanks for watching, and we shall be back next week to do it all again. So, this is VK3EKH ASV Radio, concluding the stream. I must remember to turn off the stream, so I shall do that. And I think that's all. I had a few other things here to say tonight, but anyway, there it is. Unless that the visions on the repeater there have held out for me. I think I'm watching the output of the repeater. Better just check that. Because I've got caught on that. Yep.
You've got 2 streams running from there as well.
There should be just the one. I'm only activating one stream, so I don't know where this other stream's coming from. But I'll shut it down, because if I do this and say stop streaming, it should